All right, taking you back to Capitol Hill, where in less than a week, much of the federal government will shut down if Congress does not provide more money. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy tried and failed over the weekend to make a deal with other Republicans who want to see some deep spending cuts. For more on this, let's bring in Matt Glassman. He is a senior fellow at the Government Affairs Institute at Georgetown University. So, Matt, we at this point in the game, it feels like every time there's a budget showdown, we talk about a government shutdown, right? This is not new to the American people. It's perhaps frustrating, but game out for us what a government shutdown might look like if it were to happen.
Sure, and thanks for having me, of course. None of the federal spending bills have passed thus far, so if a government shutdown were to happen next weekend, it would be a full government shutdown because none of the bills have passed. And from the point of view of a typical citizen, that would look like services missing that you might normally have, right? So the national parks would be closed, and certain other programs would not be operating, such as things like processing of federal mortgages or student loan applications, or if you had a customer service question about your Social Security check. But really behind the scenes is where more things are not happening in the federal government, such as research being shut down at the National Institute of Health or things like that.
So how can the government prepare for something like this? Obviously, it could go either way at this point. What can the government be doing? Agencies be preparing for a shutdown?
Yeah, so there's already a lot in motion for a shutdown. So shutdown planning is run out of the Office of Management Budget in the Executive Office of the President, and they oversee how agencies prepare for this. And agencies have already received their guidance about what they need to deliver and how they need to plan. So this includes sort of agencies gathering up and reporting on which employees will have to be furloughed and which employees are sort of known as exempted employees and will continue to go to work. And they've reported those plans back to the Office of Management Budget. If a shutdown does come over the weekend, then those agencies will have to then actually put those plans into motion. And employees who are being furloughed will come into work in order to close up their offices, lock down secure information, but then they will be out of work and the agencies will close the lights.
So what are the long-term impacts if there's a shutdown?
So this is one of the things that a lot of people have misconceptions about. Some people think a government shutdown saves money. Because workers aren't working, but it actually costs the federal government a lot of money to have a shutdown. One is all the time and resources spent in planning to execute the actual shutdown. That costs money. Second is the government loses a lot of user fees from things like people visiting national parks or applying for passports and things like that. And finally, there's a direct economic impact in that the government needs to continue to pay those workers. Congress passed legislation in 2019 guaranteeing that even if federal employees aren't doing their work, they're going to get paid. Beyond that, many studies have shown that there's economic costs in the private sector to closing the government in the billions of dollars. A lot of private sector entities plan and contract and do things around the federal government. And all of those things can be washed away in a shutdown.
All right, Matt Glassman, thanks so much.